TV Crazy Man here. If there's one thing fans love about the A-Team, it's the explosions, the crazy plans, and the fact that nobody ever gets hurt, no matter how explosive the action got. But if you look closely, sometimes really closely, you'll notice the show had some interesting and often downright funny mistakes sometimes. From rubber knives, rubber skin, to invisible engines, and a van that literally transforms into a different vehicle. These are some of the weirdest and funniest goofs ever caught on the A-Team that may expose some of the A-Team's strangest production secrets along the way. On the episode Children of Jamestown, if you look closely during the fight, Hannibal and Faceman briefly transform into completely different people. They're stunt doubles. Later, after the team is captured, Hannibal steps out of the van wearing handcuffs, but someone forgot to close them. George Peppard, not wanting to waste film, casually locks the cuffs during the scene.
Murdock, how did you talk me into this?
One of the most memorable escapes involving the team was on the episode Pros and Cons, when Hannibal and Murdock floated in the air using plastic bags inflated with the use of hair dryers. Technically, hot air can lift something. That's how hot air balloons work. The problem? Hair dryers can't produce air hot enough to lift a human being. If they could, we would have all burned our scalps off in high school, especially when you add in all that flammable hairspray and mousse needed to get the perfect 80s hair. On the episode The Rabbit Who Ate Las Vegas, during this scene you can clearly see the stunt driver behind the wheel is not B.A. Baracus, played by Mr. T. And in another scene, Hannibal dramatically throws a knife into a board, but the close-up shot shows different writing on the board, and the knife is in a different position entirely.
Right here. Should have known it was you guys.
I'll get some of the guys fast, Mr. Gaines.
They don't want to come. Hey, man, I didn't make no mistake.
On the episode, The Out-of-Towners. After a garbage truck unloads its cargo inside a nightclub, B.A. jumps out to join the fight, leaving the driver's door wide open. In the next shot, a mysterious hand appears from inside the truck to pull the door closed, but it's definitely not one of the A-Team. Moments later, the door is open again as the A-Team makes their escape. In between that, the bartender manages an even stranger trick. In one shot, he's clean-shaven while reaching for a shotgun, and then in the next shot, he has a mustache. When B.A. grabs him, the mustache disappears again. I guess that bartender can grow facial hair in the blink of an eye and shave it while in the midst of a fight. That's a pretty neat trick. On the episode Holiday in the Hills, the A-Team's plane crashes in the middle of an isolated wooded area. As it's crashing, one of the windows is smashed by a piece of finished lumber, which raises an important question. Why is there perfectly cut construction wood hanging out in the trees? On the episode West Coast Turnaround, 3 minutes into the episode, an 18-wheeler swerves and flips onto its side. And just before it lands, you can clearly see the stunt driver wearing a helmet behind the wheel. Also in this episode, Hannibal drops a watermelon from the helicopter onto a truck window, smashing the windshield. But when the truck flips over, the windshield is perfectly intact. Maybe it's because it's not the same truck anymore. In the episode A Nice Place to Visit, Amy is walking around in boots, and then she's suddenly wearing high heels. At the end of the episode, the Watkins brothers' tow truck flips over. Before the flip, it's a 1970s model. After the flip, it magically becomes an early 1950s model. Apparently, the crash sent it back into time. In this otherwise awesome jump scene, there's a few things that are off. The A-Team van is older, different round headlights, and the wheels are totally cheap. Not the cool ones we usually see. During the landing, B.A. even loses a cheap hubcap. And when they land, it looks like the van is inside a studio. You can see the dark area of the studio at the top of the van. And there's no windshield, of course. Also in the episode Labor Pains, Face and B.A. drive off together in the van to get a farmer's truck. But when they return in the truck, the van is already waiting back at the camp. So the question is, who brought the van back? Did it drive itself? Of course, this is the A-Team, not Knight Rider.
You're crazy!
Wrong answer.
In the episode Water, Water Everywhere, it appears that one of the buildings isn't a real building, it's one of those movie set facades. You can see the wooden braces and unfinished walls on the outside. On the episode The Maltese Cow, when the A-Team interrupts Wang Chu's meeting, his bodyguard Ling is wearing a black martial arts uniform. But when the chase begins moments later, Ling is suddenly wearing a gray three-piece suit. That's a pretty fast wardrobe change. I guess he has to change into a suit for chase scenes. On the episode The Battle of Bel Air, during a helicopter chase scene, the floorboard under Murdock's seat pops up. As he tries to push it back down, we briefly see the ground to the side, which shows us that the helicopter isn't really moving at all. And second, there's grass below, even though the helicopter is supposed to be flying over a beach. And after another helicopter crashes, the lighting suddenly shifts from daytime to nighttime instantaneously. Wait, that's not Mr. T. The man doesn't have the beard, the chains, the mohawk. He looks like an average run-of-the-mill guy here. What's going on? On the episode The Island, we have another noticeable Hannibal stuntman sighting. On the episode Sheriffs of Rivertown, there's a chase scene. Murdock throws dynamite from a moving jeep. But whenever we see B.A. and Hannibal inside the vehicle, tree branches appear on the side of the frame, giving away the fact that the jeep isn't really moving at all. On the episode Hot Styles, in a fight scene aboard a boat, one goon attacks Hannibal with a knife. But when the blade touches the door, the tip bends like rubber. Because it is.
A bomb. That was a little rough going at first.
And in the final van scene, the camera accidentally reveals the interior of a soundstage ceiling above the vehicle again. Although maybe this might have been cut off on TV sets back in the 80s. I don't remember if I saw it or not. But it's obvious the van isn't driving anywhere. It's just sitting in a studio. And of course there's no windshield. They used to do that, to keep the glare out of the scenes.
Now sit back, relax. You've been on a long trip. I can tell by your eyes.
On the episode Knights of the Road, earlier in the episode we saw Murdock in a car that got towed away across the border into Mexico by bad guys.
I need something bigger, more powerful.
But a few minutes later, the team comes up with a plan to rescue Murdock involving a big tow truck. While they're working on the truck, Murdock's arms are seen cleaning the very truck that is part of the plan to aid in his very own rescue. And then when B.A. installs shiny new hubcaps, Murdock is clearly visible in the reflection. But at that exact same moment in the story, Murdock is still captured. Spooky. Murdock always did have a split personality, but being in two places at once, that was different. On the episode Bounty, bad guys trying to run this lady off the road, but strangely her van transforms into a much older, beat-up vehicle and back again during the chase scene. The van apparently has shape-shifting abilities like the Transformers and was hoping to disguise itself in order to throw off the bad guys. On the episode Lease with an Option to Die, during a fight scene outside a building, B.A. throws a bad guy onto the back of a car. But on a bigger screen, it's pretty obvious that it's really a stunt double. I see plastic rubbery wrinkles in the back of his head. In the episode Body Slam, guest starring Hulk Hogan, when the A-Team van goes airborne off a ramp, you can clearly see something weird hanging on to the side that doesn't belong. Perhaps it's something to hold the camera, I'm not sure. Of course, then Hulk Hogan looks like he's turned into a mannequin. I guess he was scared stiff riding around with B.A. This was one of two episodes that Hulk Hogan guest starred on the A-Team. On the episode The A-Team is Coming, The A-Team is Coming, during a theater scene, Hannibal hands the fly ropes to a stagehand controlling a curtain. But if you watch closely, the stagehand isn't actually pulling the rope. He's just pretending to pull it while sliding his hands down. On the episode Beneath the Surface, when General Fulbright's squad car drives off a pier, the underside of the vehicle is visible, and from both the bottom and the open hood you can clearly see that something is missing. There's no engine in the car. How do you drive around in a car with no engine? On the episode The Spy Who Mugged Me, 4 henchmen get thrown out of a hotel window into a swimming pool. They're supposed to be unconscious, but the second one grabs the window ledge and pushes himself out. Not exactly the behavior of someone who is knocked out cold, nor is it normal to try to help oneself be thrown out of a window. Of course, none of these goofs stopped the A-Team from becoming one of my favorite action shows of the 1980s that will always have a special place in my memories and gave me an awesome theme song to work out to. I still remember doing my Mr. T impressions, and didn't every kid pretend to be Mr. T back then? These days, Mr. T is active on X or Twitter or whatever they call it right now.
Smells like a winner.
Dirk Benedict is doing cons talking about the old days. Dwight Schultz went on to do Star Trek, of course, and became somewhat of a radio personality for a while. George Peppard sadly passed away in 1994, battling lung cancer. Well, that's it for another video, but there's plenty more where that came from, so check out more goofs, bloopers, and fun TV fact videos from TV Crazy Man. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with friends and family. I love it when a plan comes together, don't you?
I love it when a plan comes together.
That's all, folks.